What is going on, guys? Welcome back to yet another video, and today we are going to be talking about canopies. More specifically, we're going to be creating a canopy tier list. So if you guys are not familiar with tier lists, it's basically a way to categorize a subject into a kind of a hierarchy of things. So we start in the F tier all the way up to A tier and then S tier. Of course, F tier being the lowest performer and F tier being the highest performer. Now, this isn't to say that if you have an S tier canopy, you're better than if you have an F tier canopy or whatever. It's just to say that these are the different performance levels of canopies. So, without further ado, let's get started. We all love the sport of canopy piloting. It's always fun to watch people swoop, but it's also good to understand what canopies are available. It's like getting into cars and not knowing what car you want to get. This video will not go into detail in each canopy, but it will just create a little bit of a ladder for you to understand how the canopies compare against each other. It's like a progression, if you may. If you were to do a progression where we would pass through all these canopies in 1 or 2 sizes each, you would be doing a correct and good progression. I will be using Performance Designs and Icarus canopies as an example, but most canopy manufacturers will have a canopy equivalent to each tier. So now, let's actually start in F tier. So in F tier, I first decided to include student canopies. Student canopies will be your regular 9-cell big canopies, usually always above 200 square foot, very docile, good openings, nice thick lines. Some of them are even hybrids between zero porosity fabric and F111 fabric. Some of these examples are the Performance Designs Navigator and the Icarus student canopies. I also want to include on the F tier classic accuracy canopies. For instance, Zero from Performance Designs. There are other classic accuracy canopies such as the Parafoil, but I'm not going to get into that. All of these are your big canopies. They're big, they're docile, they don't take much effort to fly, and they're good for students, for beginners. They have their benefits, of course, being docile and being slow, but of course, if you want to go fast, you're not going to get a student canopy. So I also would include in the F tier most tandem canopies, maybe F tier or D tier, but yeah, tandem canopies are a whole nother thing. So let's now move on to E tier. Now, I've decided to make a little bit of a controversial decision here. I actually just consider E tier all 7-cell canopies, and I'm not saying that E tier canopies are worse than D tier canopies per se, but all 7-cell canopies are here. There are some, questionable 7-cell canopies, such as the Spectre. Some people love it, some people say the openings are super good, and they probably are because it's a 7-cell canopy, but it's still a 7-cell canopy. They still have a very bad aspect ratio. They still don't have a super good flare, but openings, of course, are on-heading and very good. That's why you use them for wingsuit and all that. Now, with that in mind, with the growth of popularity of wingsuits, manufacturers have tried to include in their lineup better 7-cell canopies. Performance Designs came up with a Storm, which is basically a better version of the Spectre. It's got a steeper glide, it's got a longer recovery arc, and it's supposed to still have the same opening characteristics even though it has a better flare. But it's still, to me, a 7-cell canopy. I've jumped with the Storm, and it's just a 7-cell canopy, so it's going to go on the E tier. Now, both Performance Designs and Icarus canopies have come out with wingsuit-specific canopies, the Horizon and the Kraken. These canopies basically boast having low pack volumes, which means you're going to be able to use your regular small canopy rig with a wingsuit canopy in it. They have the good openings of a 7-cell canopy, which are basically on-heading, no fuss, no line twists, just a nice off button of your wingsuit jump. And they usually have a little bit of a better flare and a little bit more of a high performance in terms of recovery arc and the various inputs. To me, this is basically a fancy 7-cell canopy, but it's still a 7-cell canopy. So you go to E tier and you stay there, okay? The Epicene should also be here. It also has low pack volume, long recovery arc, good openings, blah blah blah, but these are 7-cell canopies. They have their place in the bottom of my list. Now, moving on to D tier. D tier is a very special tier. Most of you guys probably recognize it. This is the tier where you will have your first canopy. The first canopy you buy on your first rig will be probably a D tier canopy. These include the very famous, very common, not too aggressive, not too docile first canopies in your 210 to 150 sizes, which are on first sizes. You have the Saber 2 and you have the Sapphire 3. They're kind of similar canopies. These canopies are good. They have kind of a long recovery arc. They have good openings. They have a good flare. They can come back from a long spot. They have good range on their inputs. They're kind of sensitive, but not too sensitive where you can't control it. They're just basically good for someone stepping up from their student canopies and just want to get something fun to do their regular fun jumps when they're still beginners. Some other popular canopies are also the Pulse. It boasts, I think, low pack volume because it has different fabric on the bottom skin, I think, or bottom skin, yeah. It's got a very flat glide, which means it doesn't have those super long recovery arcs from something like the Katana or the Saber 2. Kind of has a long recovery arc, so it means that it's gonna feel super fun because it's not gonna lose a lot of altitude when you're doing turns, and it's gonna be very fast doing turns. It's gonna seem like a very snappy, very sensitive canopy, but it's just flying so straight that that's what the canopy wants to do. It packs lower, which means you can fit a bigger canopy on a smaller rig, or you can just keep the same size canopy and get a smaller rig if you're into having small rigs and low pack volumes. The Silhouette is an older canopy from Performance Designs, but also kind of falls into this category. I've never seen people fly small Silhouettes, but I know people that have Silhouettes in their 170s, 190s, 150s range, and they're pretty good. The people I know jumping these canopies are happy with them, and they don't have any complaints, so I don't have any either. It's just a D tier canopy. Now let's move on to the C tier. C tier is where we actually start having fun. Now, let's say you don't really want to get into high performance canopies. You don't want to get into the high tier canopies. You would and you can stay in D or C tier. That's something I want to point out right away. C tier will have some canopies that are good to stay on and just fly for the rest of your life. And other canopies in C tier are more towards getting into swooping. So, talking about getting into swooping, we have the all-famous, loved by everyone ever, the Katana. Katana is a canopy that came into the market when we started using rear risers in swoop. It was the first canopy designed with rear riser flying in mind. So, because of that, it has exactly that. It has good rear risers performance. It also has a nice long recovery arc for people learning swooping. This means you get to do your swoops way higher than you would with another canopy like the Saber 2 or the Stilleto. You get to do your swoops higher, meaning you have more time to decide if the turn is safe or not, if you're low or not. You have more time to start building up your image of the ground coming to you and your photographic memory. This is why it's such a good canopy. The openings, depending on the year, the canopy you buy it, are good, bad, depending on the lines. Depends on a lot of factors. I've heard people say that the Katana opens incredibly good. Other people saying that the Katana doesn't open so good. I've had a Katana 97 and used it for wingsuit. Never gave me problems. The Katana is probably one of the canopies I have the most jumps on. Jumped the Katana 120 a lot. Jumped the Katana 107 a lot. And jumped a few times with the Katana 97 again for wingsuit. But I was already jumping high-performance canopies at the time, so maybe I was just used to kind of funky openings. The Katana, again, as I said, is an amazing canopy to progress. I progressed on it. I know dozens of people that progressed on it. It's a great canopy. And of course, Icarus Canopies also has an amazing canopy, which is the Crossfire 3, which, in my opinion, has a little bit of the edge over the Katana. But again, that's personal preferences. Might also have to do with the time that I jumped the Crossfire 3. Crossfire 3 is basically you're getting into swooping canopy. It's a little step up from the Sapphire 3, just like the Katana is a step up from the Saber 2 or the Saber 3, which came out recently. Crossfire 3 will get you into swooping and will maybe make you be able to learn 90s to learn 270s safely with a long recovery arc, plenty of time to decide if the turn is good or not, and amazing rear risers. So, and of course, bottom end flare is also good. It's a 9-cell, blah, blah, blah. They're elliptical, they're good. Now, if you're not sure what you want to do, you don't want the Katana because the Katana has a very steep glide. It's not designed to come back from long spots and all that thing. Maybe you want a canopy that's a little bit more versatile. Maybe you want to get a Saber 2. Now, I know I'm including the Saber 2 in both of the tiers here, but that's because getting a Saber 2 260 or 230 or 210 is way different from getting a Saber 297 or 107. So that's why I'm including them in both. If you do want to get a Saber 2, you can get a Saber 2 in the smaller sizes, and it will behave kind of like a not so long recovery arc Katana. And of course, the Sapphire 2 also works the same way. If you get a small Sapphire 2, it will work kind of like a Crossfire, except the recovery arc won't be as long. The rears aren't as good as the Katana, in my opinion. And of course, again, as I said, the Sapphire 3, the rears on the Sapphire 3 are not as good as the rears on the Crossfire 3. But if you're not sure what you want to get, you can get a small Saber 2 or Sapphire 3, and you'll have a very versatile canopy. And Of course, if you do want to start getting into swooping, you can start doing your turns and you'll still have kind of a long recovery arc. Now, the odd man out here in this tier, in the C tier, will be the Stilleto. Stilleto is an old canopy, but it's still a banger. I've jumped with Stilletos a couple of times, and they are, I will say fun, just because I want to say fun, but you know, they have a very fast recovery arc. It's not even just short. It's fast, it's aggressive. It's fun with everything above 2,000 feet because you get to do those crazy wild turns, and it will send you doing better rolls as soon as you tug on the toggle or on the re-risers. But again, it's an old canopy. It's a very flat glide. It's really not good for. It's really not good for your swoop, for learning how to swoop, and for actually doing 90s and 270s and all that. You're gonna kill yourself with that. A little bit of an error, a millisecond of an error, and you're gonna hit the ground. And another millisecond of an error, and you're gonna plane out super high. So the pulse, you could argue that the Stilleto and the pulse are quite similar, but they have kind of a similar glide angle. But the pulse packs lower and it's more soft, and the Stilleto is a bit more aggressive. So that's why I'm including it in C tier. If you just want to get a small, aggressive kind of flat gliding canopy, you can get Stilleto. I know a lot of people that still use Stilettos and swear by them. I don't know, man. The openings, that's why they were called Spinetos. I've done wingsuits with the Stilettos 150s, and I've had horrible openings on them. So yeah, not really my thing, the Stilettos. Now let's get to the tiers I like, which are the B, A, and S tier. So let's start with the B tier. B tier will be the beginner cross-braced canopies. Usually the canopies that are going to fall into this category will be the 7-cell, 3-chamber cross-braced canopies. So they want to have 21 cells, basically. They will fall into this category because they are high-performance canopies. They have the high-performance recovery arcs. They have the high-performance pressure. They have the high-performance performance. But they're not quite there. They were the fastest, but they're no longer the fastest. So, you know, back then, you would jump a velocity when you were the most experienced guy on the DZ. Nowadays, any old buck with 1,000 jumps is jumping a velocity. So, times have changed, of course. But, again, as I said, velocity is a good example of this canopy. Came out in 98. Is old, wasn't designed to fly with the rears, but you know, you can do it. Has kind of a long recovery arc. The Katana might have a little bit longer, who knows. It's really edge on edge, you know. But it's a good canopy. It's cross-braced. It will make you go fast and do good swoops. You don't need to load it crazy heavy in order to make it go fast, in order to make it go far, but it won't go super far. So yeah, it's good for beginners to learn, to actually get into swooping and start learning how an actual high-performance canopy works. Alongside the velocity, we had the JFX, and the JFX, of course, was a super great opening canopy. Unlike some velocities, the JFX opened really well, and it was an amazing canopy to start with. Of course, Icarus Canopies was working with a JVX as well, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and Performance Designs decided to launch the Comp Velocity at about the time that Icarus Canopies was planning to launch the Petro, which I don't know if it was a good move from Performance Designs, just making the canopy a little bit different. Basically, they added the rear riser performance to a velocity and made the comp velocity. I don't know about that. I love the comp velocity. I've jumped comp velocity a couple of times, as well as the velocity. But, you know, you can never go wrong with a JFX. And now we have a JFX2, changes the game completely. That thing is the perfect beginner cross-braced canopy out there. If you just want to get a canopy to do 270s, to do 90s, and you want to stay there, you can get a JFX, be happy for the rest of your life. If you just want to start your cross-brace progression, the JFX2 will have everything you need. And if you don't have the capacity, the financial capacity to get a JFX2, get a JFX original. It's still going to give you those chills and still going to make you do those crazy swoops and have super good openings. Get on that as well. Comp velocity, of course, you can also start on comp velocity. I think PD doesn't even make the velocity anymore, only makes the comp velocity. Good canopy, good flares, you can do distance, you can learn how to even be a little bit more aggressive than you would with a velocity, and you can get them cheap used. So it's a good canopy to have on B tier. Now, if you really want to go the gung-ho way, which I kind of don't recommend, but you can do it, is your first cross-brace canopy be a JVX. JVX is the most freaking gung-ho canopy out there. To me, I love the JVX. JVX is the canopy I have the most jumps on. Not this JVX I'm talking about on B tier, but the next one I'll be talking about. But the JVXs are amazing. 9 cells, super good aspect ratio, super pressurized, a super thin profile, making it super fast. No drag at all from being thick. That thing just flies, man. And I think getting a big JVX like a 90 or 100, if you're light, it's not gonna have a super performance. But if you're a heavier guy and you start on a big JFX like a 120 JFX, and then you get onto a 90 JVX, and then you downsize properly and go down up to like a 90 JVX, you're gonna start getting super performance from it. Because those things, especially the big ones, they fly when they're loaded. Now, with this being said, let's move on to A tier. Now, A tier would have been different a couple of years ago, but with modern day canopies, this is how the A tier looks like. A tier is going to have your hyper performance canopies that are not quite hyper performance. It's like kind of weird how it happened. Manufacturers designed the hyper performance canopies first and then launched the training wheel hyper performance canopy. So you'll see this with the Petra and the Peregrine. The Petra and the Peregrine came out first, and only after did the Valkyrie and the Leia come out. Manufacturers just invented a super fast canopy and thought, well, we're not going to tell people to progress from 7-cell cross-brace canopies onto these elliptical 9-cell beasts. So we got to kind of dumb them down and make them have like training wheels. So on tier A, you're going to have your 7-cell hyper-performance canopies. They're going to be, again, 7 cells, super elliptical, and usually tiny, and want super high wing loadings. They're basically hyper-performance canopies on training wheels. You have the usual suspects, Valkyrie and Leia. Whether they're hybrid or not, I don't care, man. It's still 7 cells, so hybrid or not, who knows? Does it fly better? They say it does. They say a hybrid Valkyrie is almost like a Peregrine, and they say a hybrid Leia is almost like a Petra, but we know it's really not. The benefits will be, of course, it will have better openings, and if it doesn't have a better opening, it's not going to send you into catastrophic failure right away, and you're kind of going to be able to solve it. The recovery arc is going to be pretty much like as long as a hyper-performance canopy, but of course you're going to lose a lot more power because they're a thicker canopy. They have not as good of an aspect ratio. They're maybe not as pressurized as well, from what I feel. But again, they are zero porosity fabric, not the sail fabric that we have on the S tier canopies. Are they fast? Yeah, they are fast. Can you use them as your daily driver? Of course. Are they good for camera flyers, for fun jumpers, for AFF even? Are they good? Yeah, they're good for that. Are they the top speed? No, it's like the difference between driving a sports car and driving an actual race car. Yes, it is fast, but it's not the fast that you want. So, again, alongside with these two beautiful 7-cell canopies, we have in my opinion, on A tier, the JVX full sail. New Zealand Aerosports, at the time, Daedalus project or whatever, had the beautiful idea of creating a JVX made out of sail fabric. Sail fabric is basically something borrowed from paragliding, I think. And in the beginning, the canopies that they used had the exact same fabric as the paragliding wings or whatever they were, speed flying, I don't know, paragliding probably. It's basically super thick, super rigid, super like plasticky fabric that at the time was not designed to open, was not designed to take the loadings and to take the friction from opening a canopy and from packing all that, but gave the canopies an amazing performance, made them super rigid, made them fly super well. It was basically the difference between having a bouncy castle on top of you or having a wing from a plane. You were actually flying a wing, a solid wing on top of you, and not like a balloon. And I remember making the jump from the velocities onto the JVX full sails was incredible. I still own my JVX full sail 69. It's the canopy I have the most jumps on, and that thing flies for miles. I've jumped Valkyries and Leias at the same time I was jumping that canopy, and I can say with a good pilot and learning the actual recovery arc and learning the way that the JVX flies, if it's a full sail canopy, you can get pretty similar results from the training wheel high performance canopies, the 7-cell ones. With a good pilot, you're definitely going to get super great results with a full sail JVX. It's, to me, if you want to get into actual competition canopies and actually start competing in swooping, getting a full sail JVX is the best way to go. Especially in the higher wing loadings, loading it below like 2.2, I think it's kind of ridiculous. But if you're on the high wing loadings, that thing flies for miles. They're super fast, super aggressive, super rigid, and you can get them for cheap. There are not a lot of them, they're kind of rare, but they are fast, they're properly fast. And to me, this is the real man way to get into swooping. That's how I got into it, and that's how people should get into it. If you want to get a Valkyrie and be able to do your fun jumps and not have to worry about crazy openings from the JVX full sail, you can go the easy route and be lazy. But if you want to be the gung-ho real freak swooper, get a JVX full sail. Those things fly. Maybe NZ Sports will get a kind of replacement for the JVX, Hana, I think, and it will be similar. But, nothing will replace that. Nothing will replace the taste of a JVX full sail to me. Now, we were going to finally move on to the S tier canopies. Now, these canopies are your race car canopies. These canopies are made for one thing. They're designed to go fast. They're not designed to open well. They're not designed to not give you pain in the ass on the rigging room or during the openings. No, they're designed to go fast, do 2 turns or do 1 turn, go fast through gates, and fly as far as possible. And believe me when I tell you, manufacturers have worked on this pretty well. Aerodynamics engineers, all those crazy things, they all came together in order to build the fastest things we've ever seen. And Peregrine and Petra are the crown of the jewel of each manufacturer. I'm not going to get into what's faster. The Petra is. It is. I'm not joking. But I'm not going to get into that today. But you have the Petra and you have the Peregrine. It's a shame, really, that the Peregrine doesn't do terminal velocity. I don't know why it doesn't. Maybe it should. The Petra is still faster, so we really don't lose a lot from it not doing freefall. And the Petra does do freefall if you ask for the pilot chute attachment point. It's going to be even easier to do free fall because you're going to have the pilot chute attached to the canopy. You're just going to be removing the slider. But of course, if you want to be a real man, you will remove the slider and the full removable deployment system. Is the Peregrine fast? I don't know. I never jumped it, so maybe it is fast, maybe it's not. I don't know. From the looks of the podiums, it's kind of fast, but the Petra always has the edge. Is the Petra fast? For sure, I can tell you the Petra is fast. I jumped 2 Petras all day, every day with the full RDS assembled. Never had a cutaway because of the RDS, but I have had like 1 or 2 cutaways with the Petras. Most of my cutaways are with the JVX, surprisingly, but that canopy is kind of old and had a kind of a janky slider. But the Petra is fast. It has 9 cells. It's a thin canopy. It's got a super long recovery arc, but it's not so long that you'll start losing power. It's just long enough for you to aim to those gates. Once you finish the turn, you're just going to see the gates coming to you. You'll pass super fast. Those first 50 meters pass through you. You don't even notice. And then you just have power that never stops on the rears. And once you transition onto toggles, it just feels like you're starting another flare. The toggles are immense on that thing. But the rears, once you actually start jumping a Petra, you'll notice the rears really are powerful. Especially if you really nail the recovery arc, if you're kind of finishing high and just letting the canopy fall onto the ground, it's going to lose a lot of pressure and not fly as greatly. But if you can really harness its power and actually get the recovery arc perfect, you'll see how the canopy flies. You'll see how those rears are so powerful. You know what you're going to do with that much distance, with that much power. And of course, once you transition to toggles, you're going to be flying super fast. You're going to think, I'm going to have to drag my ass and rip my pants in order to stop this beast. No. You're flying the rears at super crazy speeds, doing super crazy distances. Transition onto those toggles. The canopy keeps flying and you will stay above the ground until you're almost at a dead stop. If you have even 10 knots of headwind, the canopy will stop dead in its track before it touches the ground. It will go until the last drop of speed juice has exited the wing itself. It's so fast. It's that fast. You really got to jump it to feel it. It's an amazing canopy. And it's good that it's on the S tier because it's an aspiration for everyone to get it. The Petra 2 will be as fast, even faster maybe. I'm super excited to get onto that. But for now, the Petra is the way to go. It's super fast. Now, here's another controversial decision by yours truly, which is including on S tier the S Leia. Yes, the S Leia, in my opinion, is an S tier canopy. Now, here's a couple of questions. But have you jumped an S Leia? I haven't, unfortunately, even though I would like to experiment. I was going to purchase an S Leia instead of purchasing a Petra. At the time I purchased my first Petra, but I ended up deciding just buying a Petra because YOLO soup life. But the S Leia is a great canopy. It's a full sail Leia, which will immediately get better points for me because I think all canopies should be full sail if they're high performance, but whatever. And it has a kind of a steeper glide, I think. It's super good for like XRW and all those things because it has that steep glide. I've seen a lot of XRW being done with the S Leias, as well as with the Petras, of course, because those things just fly for miles. But the S Leia, from what I've heard, is an amazing thing. It's pretty close to the Petra, but it's really a good design from NZ Aerosports. And if you have an S-Lay, you're probably super happy with it. In a few years, they're probably going to be worth a lot of money because they're only 50 made. But yeah, the S-Lays are amazing. And if you guys want to get into that, get into that. I think they're going to beat the world record for smallest canopy ever landed with an S-Lay. So stay tuned for that on the Icarus Canopies website and YouTube channel. And finally, on the S tier, we cannot forget a canopy that I don't know if it's really a canopy or just a mod, but the Sophia. The Sophia is basically a speed version of the Petra. This canopy will be thinner, meaning that will have less drag, and it will have a steeper trim, meaning it will be easier to gain speed faster and maybe even gain a little bit more speed, which will mean that you'll get a better result on the 70 meters carved speed round of your competitions. Personally, I never jumped a Sophia, and personally I don't have a lot of interest getting a Sophia. I love the Petras, and I think you should learn one recovery arc and just have it memorized and just do it all over and over and over again, and maybe just get 3 Petras of the same size and you'll be good for all 3 rounds maybe. But of course, jumping a canopy for speed that's designed for speed will probably mean that you're gonna get better times. The current world record of speed was not set on a Sophia, so I don't know what that says about the canopy, but still, the Sophia is on the S tier because it's a super fast machine. It's basically like a Petra on speed steroids. It doesn't have quite that long flare that lasts a long time and has a lot of power, but it does go way fast. It does go fast from what I've seen. So it lands itself on the S tier. With this being said, guys, I hope you liked this video. If you want to learn a little bit more in detail about each canopy and each tier, I will probably make a video about it, especially the higher tiers, which are the ones I prefer. But today's video is finished. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or complimentary information you'd like to add, you can do so in the comment section down below. And as always, have a great day.